welcome to another episode of Carta de Vineri. As we've grown accustomed to, we today present you with a new author, a children's book author, actually. And we'll come to that in a second. Carta de Vineri is a book per week, and the interviews with the authors are once a month. And today we're speaking to Ada Rose. Now, Nicola, who is Ada Rose?
Yeah, so thank you all for joining us, and thank you, Andrea or Ada Rose, for joining us. It's my pleasure now to introduce you. So Andrea Alane, also known as Ada Rose, is an architect, an innovator, and a children's book author. Living in the picturesque landscapes of Warwickshire, Ada cherishes the simple joys of family life with her husband and 2 young daughters. As a dedicated architect in the UK, Ada has been acknowledged for her contributions to the field, notably as one of the pioneering Romanian women in international architecture at the London Festival of Architecture 2019. In 2023, her commitment to innovation was recognised with the Leader in Innovation Award at her workplace, reflecting her consistent efforts to think creatively and approach challenges uniquely. Ada's artistic flair extends beyond architecture. Embracing her passion for storytelling, she has delved into the world of children's literature. Her narratives, akin to architectural work, inspire young minds to embrace curiosity and seek new possibilities in every situation. Ada is a firm believer in the importance of imagination and resilience, aiming to instill these values in her readers. Join us on a journey of enchantment, perseverance, and the joys of childhood as Ada shares a story that has captivated both children and adults alike. So thank you again for being here with us. And yeah, it was a pleasure to be able to introduce you. And now Serena will kick us off with some questions we'd love to ask you.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
And again, congratulations for a very impressive portfolio.
Thank you.
We'll focus on the book that you designed and you wrote. So by way of introduction, can you tell us a little bit more about what Love, the Unbreakable Doll is about? And how did you come to write the book? What prompted the need to write?
Okay. Love, the Unbreakable Doll, which is the book I have here with me, as the title says, is a doll and is unbreakable. This doll started as a porcelain doll that was very fragile. And my daughter, Sandra, found it at the recycling center. She was very surprised. Surprisingly, the doll also looked a lot like Sandra, and she was so amazed by the doll and her beauty. She never saw a porcelain doll before. Obviously, all these dolls nowadays are brilliant, but that type of features she never saw before. She absolutely loved it. She asked me if she can have it. Obviously, I said yes. It costed £1.
Wow.
Yes, very expensive. So on the way home, she was holding doll tight. I said, "How do you want to name her?" And she tells me, "Love." I said, "No, how do you want to give her a name?" And she said, "Love, that's a name."
Oh.
Okay. Love it was. And I tried to explain that love is very fragile and we can't really play with her. I know you really like her. So she was indeed very careful. She was just 4 years old, 4.5 years old. So she tried as much as she could to be careful. We changed her clothes, we washed her hair, and Love just became her companion, her shadow almost, in our trips and everywhere in the house. Yes, and one day Sandra asked me, "But Mom, what is a recycling center?" I said, "Well, it's a place where people take things they don't need anymore." She thought about it and she said, "But someone didn't need love." She was
Oh.
really, really surprised. So after a while, she says, "Mommy, I will never recycle love, even when I am old." She says, that was so nice, I thought. But unfortunately, just days after that, love broke. Sandra was excited to see pizza in the oven, and she ran and she tripped
Oh,
over a toy, and Love's beautiful face.
Smashed.
I
yeah.
won't describe it. It was quite, yeah, quite a view. Anyway, she couldn't even cry. She was just stunned. She didn't know what has happened. I obviously encouraged her, "Don't worry, we'll do something about it." So I started to just search the internet. Can I buy a plastic doll that looks as beautiful as a porcelain doll? And I couldn't. Yeah, I was willing to pay the money for it, but I couldn't find it. So yeah, I set on a journey to mend love, which,
Oh,
if you think about it, is quite emotional. Even when
Mm.
you say it, to mend the broken love, it's quite deep, I think.
absolutely, yeah.
Anyway, I thought I did it. I was like hiding away in the evening after she would go to sleep, and try, because I thought if she would see me taking her hair off, and yeah, it will be quite shocking to see that. But she managed to put the pieces together, and she was, "What is mommy doing? Always going upstairs." And I eventually told her, "Are you sure you want to see love? I'm trying to mend her." And she wanted to see her. And ever since, for that moment, she was next to me, everything I was trying to do. We were mixing colors together. She was passing me the materials. We were trying and trying again and again. We did different molds. It didn't really work. I tried with epoxy resin. You see all these videos on YouTube and they're perfect. It's so easy to do. It didn't really work out. This is the last mold I used, which is a silicone mold. And Love's head was just like this new head in there. And then it was a very interesting journey. It took us a couple of months, but she was over the moon when Love was finally back. And it was a friend who suggested that I should try to turn this into a children's book. And the more I thought about it, the more excited I got of the idea of sharing this story with everyone. And then obviously with the book as well, there were ups and downs and the trial and error, because this is the first time I did it. I contributed to architectural books as an architect, and I did lots of portfolios and project presentations, but never a children's book. Yeah. So I thought I should do this properly. So I bought a course online, a very nice course, a lady who just takes you through the steps of writing a children's book and how you should build your story, also how you should design it, because I designed it myself.
Mm.
I was thinking about the illustrations. I have background in visual arts. I went to art school before architecture. So I thought, oh, I'm going to draw it myself. But obviously, full-time working mom, 2 young kids, there was
Yeah.
no time. I did like an image. Then I thought I'd leave Sandra painting. So it will be a book that we do together. We do these kind of things quite often, where she paints the drawings that I do, and then we put them on the wall and display them. But even that took time. So shall I go into the details of how I did it, or do you think, Serena, we can discuss this later? I
No,
don't
no,
know whether I
absolutely.
answered
We
your
were
question.
actually going to ask you what was your experience of design, and specifically how did you come about, what did you use?
Yes, I used something that is very very modern. Now everyone is talking about the use of AI, and this is how I managed to bring my book to life. I used ChatGPT and I mean, not the chat, but the DALL-E 3, which is an image generator part within chat. The part that chat does in using the AI generating tool, it helps maintaining a consistent character, which I thought, wow, that's amazing. And I generated the first image and I described my daughter a little bit, and the image came beautifully. I said, that's it. That's I can actually do it. But then obviously the character wasn't always consistent, and as an author and as the person who actually experienced the story of the book, I had very specific images in mind that I wanted to use. And I couldn't get that generated with AI. So I had to, I guess like any illustrator, to bring things together, to edit them, to change the background, change the colors.
Yeah. So
I
when
ended
we
up doing
talked
a
about
lot of
this,
editing work. Yeah.
when we talked about this, it brought to mind the image of a puppet master. So you're essentially the guidance for these artificial intelligence tools, and you allowed yourself to use the tools to help you produce and generate the images, but you're still very much in charge of the overall process.
Indeed, yes. Now even Photoshop, which is the most common tool used by illustrators, I guess, does have AI in it. So it helps you generate specific images within your design. But yes, I think it's still early stage. The images are brilliant.
Would
But
you use would you use AI in the same way again if you were to write another children's book, for example?
Yes, definitely. I couldn't have done it without it. Not in a month of
Wow, it only took you a
working just
month.
evenings. Yes, I was I was just so excited. I couldn't stop. I was waiting for kids to go to sleep so I can work a little bit more on my book.
Wow, so the whole thing from start to finish took you a month, including the writing and the design.
No.
Just
From the
design.
moment I started using AI, the images.
I
Yes.
see. Yeah, wow, that's very impressive.
So I don't know whether I can see some of the images.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
When we were doing the mold out in the garden.
I was wondering, based on, the images in the book, there are some obviously very domestic, familiar scenes, and there are some, particularly in the beginning, more sort of magical looking scenes. I was wondering what sort of places or spaces inspired your illustrations, and whether you could go back and tell us a bit more about your visual arts background that you mentioned earlier.
The visual aspect. Sorry, the question is about
Was about the kind of the places and spaces that you use in those illustrations, because obviously there are some kind of familiar domestic scenes that are sort of in the garden or in the house, and then there are some more magical scenes in the first couple of pages as
Yes.
the kind of magical, enchanting cityscape. I was just wondering, what kind of places you had in mind when you were considering the
That's
illustration.
the actual places I was inspired by real life and the actual places we live in. Our house. I don't know whether you can see the garden. People
Yeah.
thought, oh, this is your garden. The park is so when we come from the recycling center home, we just pass by the park, and there's a bridge in the background. The bridge is the place where she actually named the doll Love. So it does go back to our own memories. And it's maybe selfish, I don't know, but I did it for my daughter in the first place, so she can have a memory of this story. but it's just lovely to be able to share it with everyone. It's
Oh,
such a
In terms of architecture, actually, it shows a little glimpse of Warwick,
yes,
was it?
in time. So,
yes,
beyond the fact that it's a children's book, it also captures some of the local features that may or may not be there, in 50 years' time.
Mm.
indeed, yes.
And so,
That
did you
is the
say that
first.
sorry, did you say you went to art school before architecture then? Before you studied architecture?
Yes, it was High School of Arts.
Mm-hmm.
So I always did something creative apart from school. So from very first grade, I went to music school and I studied piano.
Mm-hmm.
And then I moved to art school from year 5, and I was at art school all the end to the end of high school, basically. And
Would
that's
that
when
be when you were 18?
18,
Yeah.
yes. And then I went to architecture, school of
Mm.
architecture for 6 years. But one of the 6 years I spent at the School of Architecture in Netherlands and doing an internship there, which really opened up the possibilities for me of what I can do in my field. It
Sounds
was a
like an amazing
nice,
journey.
eye-opening experience, and yeah, after graduation I came here. So I never really worked in Romania. Yeah, just had
Me neither.
a very short experience
Yeah.
there. Sometimes if I have to write a professional email in my own language, I do struggle a bit. Like, what is the way you form it?
Yeah, I
Yeah, it's
think
what it
we
is. It's life. I think I do like to take on challenges and just yeah, go with the flow and enjoy the process.
definitely
Never
seem
know
to
what
have that in common, in terms of no work experience in Romania. I worked in a little bit in Romania at the very beginning, just as a as a trial, and then I went out and worked in
Yeah.
France and the UK. So my entire
Oh,
professional experience is Western
yeah,
Europe,
yeah,
not Romania. So going back to the publishing of
yes,
the book, so you now had a product.
yes.
What were the next steps and how did you choose? I think you mentioned you're self-published.
Yes, I am self-published. For me, considering my time scarce and everything, I was quite, on one hand, I was quite confident in the quality of the design. I'm quite a perfectionist. And on the other hand, yeah, I thought I didn't know the process. I thought it would be a lot of hassle to go through the traditional way to get all the approvals, to get yes, and as I said, because I did this mainly for my daughter, I just thought it was a bit more straightforward uh, way of publishing the book.
Mm.
I don't know if it's the right one. I may end up going to a publisher eventually and republish it. After I've done the book, I realized that the print options are not so many. Unfortunately, if you do it a self-published book, the pages are quite thin. I would really like, um, yeah, in my vision, it was bigger. It was a square format, and the pages were thicker. So yeah, I'll just see where this takes me, and I may end up going to a publisher at some point.
Would be happy to potentially discuss with the contacts that we've made in Birmingham and see if we can introduce you to
Okay.
somebody, and see if we can support that. So um, the reason I'm asking is because you're the second person I think that we know that has gone the self-publishing route. So
Okay.
we were very curious to see, would you recommend it? I think you used Amazon.
Yes, I did
Um,
use Amazon.
so would you recommend it? How was the process? How did you find the entire journey?
Um, it is fairly straightforward. You fill in a form. You tell what you want. You have keywords when people search for your book. And then there is also you can promote your book. They give you an option for them to sell your book to different libraries around the world, and that your part, basically your payment goes down, but then you have more exposure, which yeah, a lot of authors might want that as well. Yeah, I think the print is okay, but they don't have many options in terms of the quality. After publishing the book, I saw other similar books on Amazon, and they seem to be. I think it works better for bigger books, like chapter books, where, say, the page quality doesn't need to be the same as a children's book. So probably I would say it works better for bigger books. But yeah, it's still okay. It still allowed me to publish my first book and to test it. I know people do this properly and they do manage to sell. I'm not selling a great amount at the moment, but if you are looking into writing something that sells, you have to do your research first to see what type of books people are buying, and there are not so many of. So obviously in my case, this was a personal story. I didn't do any research. I doubt too many people are looking for porcelain doll stories on Amazon. So yeah, it's probably a bit of a niche.
It's more of a project of the heart.
Never mind. It was a nice experience. I wanted to give this as a free giveaway on Kindle, but then I realized it's a different. You can't just upload a PDF of your book on Kindle. You have to do it using their format. So that's on my to-do list to eventually get. I think they have. I don't know much about it, but I think they have their own.
So that would enable people to read it on their Kindles as well.
Yes, yes, yeah.
And how does the printing work? Is it print on demand, or did you?
Yes, it's print on demand, which is
So
really good. Yeah,
if
so I don't
someone
need to
wants
have lots of books at
to-
home.
Yeah.
And me as an author, I can order author copies, and then I only pay the printing cost. Yeah, I initially got 10, thinking that they will just lie around the house, and I finished them all.
I'm not
Friends were
surprised. Yeah.
interested. They wanted to have it. They wanted signatures, which was amazing. I did my first signatures. Yes, so I will order more author books, and I think I can just go to the local library, or and I can offer the books. I think I offer 2 books to Sandra's school, which I think is nice for her to share this with her colleagues. Yes, and now I have more and more ideas about books. I just need time.
Yeah.
Well, actually, yeah. I mean, one of my questions was going to be, what are you working on next or at the moment? Because you mentioned there you have a lot of ideas for upcoming books. We'd love to hear a bit more about that.
Yes. Well, first of all, I would like to translate this one in Romania for my family and friends. And Amazon allows me to do that. I mean, just republish it in another language.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, I'm not quite sure. I don't know whether you know, Serena, which platform Amazon uses to sell in Romania, but yeah, we can talk about that.
They have a Romanian platform as well. And I have an idea that might interest you for the Romanian version. So again, we can discuss that offline.
Yeah.
It's just something that is hot off the press that arrived yesterday. So I can show you, and you can get some inspiration from that.
Yes, yes, exciting. Okay. Yes. I think yes, I'll need to do more research on my ideas and what. But I'm thinking. I'm also thinking now about chapter books.
Okay. You mean longer books, or?
Yes, yes.
Still children's books, or?
children's book. Yes, I mean short stories, not only one. Yeah, the only thing to make life easier is probably not to do character books. To try avoid having the same character throughout the book, and probably chapter books, like if you have short stories, you may have 2 or 3 images per story, but then it's another story and another story. It just makes the process easier. Yes, that's what I'm thinking.
What I was going to say is that your local library may also welcome a signing day with the author. So you can actually go and talk to them and suggest that you could do one weekend every 3
Yes.
months if they want to,
Oh,
and you can
right.
come in and people can come and ask you
Oh.
questions. You can have a cup of tea or have a piece of cake, and then that just builds up your community and builds up your public.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's a really good idea. And also you could combine that with a reading. You know, you could have a reading for children's session, read out the book.
Yes, indeed. Yeah,
You
I
can also
proposed
reach
that
out into
before.
the Romanian community, find some musician and do a little
Yeah.
bit of background music or a puppet story, a puppet
Amazing.
show, actually using your doll.
The
Do you
doll.
have the doll?
Yes, yes.
Uh,
This is
there you go.
Beautiful.
It's gorgeous. So yeah, you
Okay.
could consider doing a puppet show.
Yeah, that would be amazing. So many ideas. I love talking to you guys. Yeah,
Okay.
really good. Yeah, thank you. I had a lot of encouragement from a colleague at work. And yeah, every time I would feel a bit down and I feel like giving up, she says, no, but this is such a lovely story. You must do it. You must do it. So it's good when you have support from the friends and people you know. So thank you.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. And I somehow I like this story a lot more than the Barbie or the Bratz or the other types of commercial dolls now. Even though they have their own stories, obviously, but I feel that that's kind of gone and forgotten about, whereas this is fresh, coming out of a passion for motherhood. So that's fantastic.
Exactly. And also when you say, you know, it's a story about a porcelain doll, it's not just that though, is it? You know, there are many universal themes there. It's about love, it's about the bond between mother and daughter and crafting, creativity, as you say, imagination and resilience.
Not
You know,
giving up.
exactly. So it's much bigger than just a story about a porcelain doll, which in itself is beautiful, but there's so many wider resonances there. So
Yes.
yeah,
Thank you.
fantastic.
Yeah, this is when my friend suggested a book, the more I thought about it, I said, yes, it's such a rich experience we had. It's such a steep learning curve. And what I also wanted to close the book with, I don't know whether you noticed that, but uh, at the end is not about the doll. So the doll sits to the side, facing away. And this time, Luna, which is the main character of this book, she does something herself. So throughout the book, she's been just watching her mom doing various activities, trying to mend love. She was just watching. But at the end, she does something herself, and she takes flowers, which are very fragile, and she makes them unbreakable. She makes them live forever. And then at the end, what the result of her work, she's made a necklace with the flowers.
Oh, beautiful.
So it's a little project that Luna did herself. So I just wanted to leave this open ending. Yeah, and then like behind the scenes when things don't go right. Behind the scenes image and a little game for children where they can see the real love and the mended love is mended.
Excellent.
So it's not only the story, and it does have the actual story at the back as well.
That's fantastic. And that makes me really laugh out loud, because as you were explaining the journey, the only thing that popped into my mind is a game that possibly you remember from my childhood, definitely. I don't know, you're probably younger than me. It was called Pitticot.
Petticoat, yes, yes.
So it's all about the journey of this character through various bits and bobs. And I'm thinking you could do a board game. You could do a
All
board game
right.
mapping out the journey of love from the recycling center getting mended.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a really good idea.
All the different ways. Yeah, we had to redo her hair. We had to paint her face. And
Yeah.
actually, the first time I painted her face, I used acrylics and a spray. And then she was just so shiny, and the spray wouldn't dry. And I was at work panicking. Like, what am I going to do? I keep calling my husband. Is it dry now? No, it's not. And then eventually, I bought a different type of spray, and I used pastels just to say that the blush. Now I need to fix her a little bit. Her nose, the paint went off the nose. But for
Ah,
blush and eye
that's all done in
drops,
pastels, did you say?
yes, yes, it is almost like makeup. So is
Mm.
dust. Yeah, so it was so lovely too. And her lips are also done in pastel. So the background
Mhm.
is acrylics, but then all the details. And then I used epoxy resin to make her eyes, just to give them the shine above
Mm.
her eyes. And then some eyelashes that I never used.
So
Yeah, so
are the
I
colors
like the
waterproof?
idea of recycling
Uh,
and reusing things.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. And these are just hair extensions that I sew together in a wig
Wow.
using some old tights. It's just that
Wow.
one I learned it on the internet. Yeah, I watched someone else do it. And then for this doll, for the body, I had to take the other doll's head to cut it out. It was such a weird experience. I said, I can't cut her head out. But someone was saying you have to crack the egg if you want to make omelette. So I was like,
True.
I'm making omelette. I'm making omelette. Just cut it up. But then obviously once I got Love's head instead, it was so lovely. Yeah. Anyway, sorry for keep showing it. I think
No,
I'm in love
no.
with love. I have a very sweet video with Sandra saying, I love love because she is love and I love her. So I love her love. She explains very clear.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
we should also add doll
So-
maker to your list of achievements there.
sorry?
We should also add doll maker to your list of achievements. Given
Yes.
you made her.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't really consider that, but it is indeed. Yeah.
Yeah. I have a
Anyway.
friend of mine who's Finnish, who absolutely loves painting and producing dolls. They're miniature
Oh, great.
dolls, and she puts the string in and tightens
Yeah.
them, and then makes the outfits, and she does all the face painting,
Oh,
etc. So I'll share some of that information, because she's quite talented. And maybe that will serve as inspiration for you as well.
yes. Yeah. I kind of lost my patience when I had to put her head out and it's not very neatly done, unfortunately. I only say I'll do it at some point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a very
Anyway,
minute kind of work of patience,
yes,
definitely.
it.
Okay. So one last question for you, one that we
Sure.
always ask everybody that we have a conversation with.
Okay.
If you were to recommend a book about Romania that's either defined you or you absolutely loved, or you would like to share with your daughter, what would that book be?
A Romanian book
Or a book about Romania. So
about Romania.
yeah, so written by a Romanian author, or a book about Romania?
Oh, but she needs to grow.
We put you on the
Yes.
spot.
I'm thinking about Morometi. It's just because it's such an essence, of our background and the village and the story. And I grew up with my grandparents, in the village, and I used to go to their nursery there, and I didn't go to school there, but a lot of my childhood I spent it in the countryside. But yeah, they do need both. My daughter, they need to grow a bit.
So maybe start with Amintirdin Copilărie by
I mean,
Kanga, which is also
yes,
in the countryside, and then grow into Morometi.
into Morometi. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough. Well, thank you very much. It's been a really informative session, much more than book writing, all about creativity and innovation, and more than anything else, following your heart and following your passion
Indeed.
and making a dream come true for both yourself and your daughter. So congratulations again, and thank you very much for the time that you've allocated for Carta de Vineri.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.